Hello and welcome back to another of our Punters Guide with Betfred. And no Matt Humes to host today, but me and Jace are going to take you through plenty of races. There's lots on. I think we've got 5 from Lingfield, a couple from Ascot, and even one at Haydock to finish. Jace, you've been up on the Rudy all week. How are you, mate?
I'm in great form. No better place to be, actually. All the trials heading into the Betfred Derby. And at the moment, it has been a Ballydoyle domination, hasn't it? You know, we had the boys in blue for the Guineas Festival. Well, it has all turned the corner at the moment, and we are waiting to see if anything can jump out of the pack.
Yeah, I thought Minnie Hawk was impressive, wasn't she? And I get the vibe that they will be going for the Betfred Oaks. What did you make of her performance?
Yeah, she was good. She was good. I mean, I think all for different reasons. She seemed pretty straightforward. I had a look at how much she blew afterwards. Had a real flared nostril, and a proper heavy blow. A little bit like us if we were trying to do the high rocks or something. It wouldn't have been pretty. So she's bound to take a big step forward.
Yeah, I think a lap round Chester is enough for me anyway. I've ran it a few times, and safe to say I had a fair blow on. Right, let's get stuck in. We've got loads to get through, so we won't hang about. We'll start at Lingfield. We're in the 150, 10 furlongs. They've got to go. It's a reasonably competitive handicap. Where are you looking, Jace?
Yeah, look, I think that with the 150, I will jump back and just go have a quick line, the 115, because the girls,
Sorry,
we've ended up with a small
sorry.
trial, haven't we? Yeah, he's absolutely easy forgotten because we've got the trial, just the 3 runners turning up. Giselle looks an absolute penalty kick. It's going to be as short as 2 to 7, somewhere around there. 2 other runners are mid 80s and creeping into 90s. Penalty kick for Ryan Moore and the Coolmore.
Yeah, one for the Ackers, maybe Gazelle or Giselle. And as you said, the Coolmore gang have been absolutely flying round Chester. And Ryan's been great to watch. He's so good to watch round Chester, and I'm sure that continues to Lingford. He's got a couple of rides there on Saturday. Right, the 150, this is where I started, but Jace thankfully brought us back because we did have a Betfred Oaks trial. The 150, 10 furlongs, nice handicap, more of a betting proposition. Where are we here, Jace?
Yeah, I think that Fox Avatar is probably going to be towards the top of the market. He was a bit of a handful. I mean, he's going to need to have to settle better. That's going to be a worry with him. Sylvester, he tends to get them racing a little bit, doesn't he? You know, they're always seem to be just on the forehand as they're on the way round. Some good solid handicappers. I thought that Dashing White Sergeant for Hughie Morrison could run well at a bit of a price. Fair return at Epsom, handled that track well. Lingfield has got a really, really sharp downhill left-hander, and the fact that he's well balanced is key. So maybe sneaking into odds of that you can have a little poke at him each way. So Dashing White Sergeant at a bit of a price.
I agree. He stood out to me as well. His first start back after a good few months off and being gelded, and to run round Epsom with, like you said, a fair bit of balance on the first start back, you'd imagine he'll come on for that. So I'm thinking the same way. And as you said, a fair sort of each way bet to nothing with Dashing White Sergeant in the 150. The 225, still competitive. Only 5 look like they'll go to post. Candyman Stan tops the market for the Boulding team. Is he your idea of a winner?
Well, he bolted up, didn't he, at Brighton the other day? He's one of those. He travelled into it really, really well. He's quite a big, tall, gangly horse, but he seemed to handle Brighton well. Or was he just maybe the best in the lineup? I thought if you were going through it, pace is probably going to come from him. So maybe Power of Destiny for Hector Crouch and Rafe Beckett can sit on his tail. Probably she's got a little bit more to offer, switching back onto the turf. That would be the angle in with her. All her starts so far, she was with Sir Michael. A lot of the horses that have come out of there have been doing incredibly well, haven't they, going forward? And she's got 1 or 2 bits and pieces of form to suggest that maybe a mark of 93 is not beyond her. I'll take on the jolly. Candyman Can will have his followers, I'm sure.
We are Power of Destiny for Jason in the 225. The 3 o'clock, we've got another Betfred Derby trial, and it is Puppet Master Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien, Coolmore that top the market. They've actually got 2 stay true, will probably go off second favourite, but Rafe Beckett's got Prince of the Seas in here. A good Good little race, this, Chase. Good race.
Yeah. How have they got such a wealth of talent when you go through all the other runners and you're trying to think, right, okay, can Nighttime Dancer step up? He won over a mile and a half at Southwell. We've got Art Enery. He was only 2 3/4 lengths behind him on that occasion. And Prince of the Seas, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from him last time. He ran one well at Sandown. He didn't really reproduce at Epsom the other day. And Rahib, I don't know. I mean, the horse who beat him is 50-1 opportunity for the Betfred Derby. That was up at Haydock last time. So it's boring, but Puppet Master brings in the Ballysacks form. The Ballysacks form with Lambourne has already been rubber stamped here at Chester with the Vase. Everything points towards him, doesn't it? Be Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien show again.
Yeah, I agree. And that's been the story all week when people have been asking me at Chester, who are we backing, what we're backing. I've just said, just back Aidan O'Brien. And it continues in all of these trials. As you said, it's so impressive, isn't it? To go, across various race courses in various trials, not only have multiple runners, but also clean up. And yeah, I think Aidan's biggest challenge, as he said, is deciding who might run by the time the 72-hour decks are made.
Yeah, and they haven't been prepped as in like, real hard and ready to go. And that's something that obviously with the talent that he's got, he can take his time with these horses going forward and they're going to improve through the season. A lot of our trainers, they are absolutely trained to the minute, and this is the big day. But these horses are just improving through. I mean, Illinois yesterday, he must be all of 500 plus kilos, an absolute beast of a horse. So I did ask yesterday as well, come on, Aidan, tell us how fat he is so we can know what sort of weight he is going forward and how much improvement he's got. Didn't tell us, though.
Yeah, he's a beast, isn't he? I was having a look at him go around the paddock. I was surprised I haven't actually been on course. I don't think when he's racing, and yeah, he's an impressive animal. But like you said, the Ballysacks form, Delacroix is obviously an exciting horse going forward. Lambourne won yesterday. Puppet Master wasn't miles behind, and will probably go and clean up and be one for the favourite backers. Right, we'll kick on to the 3:35, 7 furlongs. The fillies will go in a Group 3. Some nice fillies in here. I've always been a fan of Jabara. I think she'll go well under Sylvester. Where's your money, Jace?
Yeah, look, you'll be quite right. I think she's going to be probably towards the top of the market. Ran well at Wolverhampton. Didn't get a great run round in the Jenny Wiley. Again, she was behind Choicia of the Crisfords, and that form, she was also in front of Ziggy's Dream on a couple of occasions. It's interesting. Here's a line for you. Ammo Racing, we know how much money they've been spending. They've got the Cathedral, who's probably going to be towards the top of the market, I'd say, along with Jabara. They'd be each of two, I would say. David Egan, not riding here for a favourite in a listed or a Group 3 contest. He's at Ascot to ride the 1.75 million juvenile that they bought. You know, when the Ammo team and all, they went on the big spending spree. They've got a juvenile who goes over at Ascot. So do keep a close eye on that, trying to spread and have a look around everywhere. I was on course when Fair Angelica ran this year at Wolverhampton. Again, hadn't been away from the feed bowl. She'll take a big step forward. Ryan is on board and he rode her when she bolted up over in Deauville last year. So I think that she's the wrong price. I think she may well have just flown under the radar, and we got the smiling assassin on board, Ryan. So we'll see how she gets on.
They're a pair worth following, I kind of gather early on. Richard Hughes and Ryan's riding a couple for him, isn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Now she, the big meeting that they had at Wolverhampton, we had the Lincoln trial and all of those, and there was the Lady Wilfruna and all these good races. She was part of his batch that he ran on that day. And as I said, he's been super patient with her. She won a good race over in Deauville with Ryan on. I just think it's interesting he gets the leg back up. She was about, I don't know, quarter of a length behind Jabara last time. And I know you could say how are they from there to here? But one is 4 times the price. Just think it looks wrong in the market.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Right, we'll get stuck into Ascot then. 3 from here, unless I've jumped the gun again. I think we're starting in the 205. This is some juicy handicaps at Ascot. There's probably a couple of prices to be found, hopefully. It's always a good card, I find, this weekend, the Friday and Saturday at Ascot. That is the last meeting before Royal Ascot. The 205 is a mile handicap, class 2, a raw runner at the top of the market for John and Thady Gosden that the weekend's champion, or last weekend's champion, William Buick, will ride. Exciting little race, Chase. Are you trying to
Yeah,
take on,
I
or?
mean, look, Rainbow's Edge, she's going to take the lion's share of the market, I would imagine. Coming in here, look, she's a half sister, or she's a half sister to Call to Mind. So it's got a wonderful pedigree, and everyone loves to see a royal runner at their own racecourse as well. But you go down through them. Arisaig, I thought she was really unlucky behind Crimson Advocate last time. That was a Goodwood listed race. The Johnson team are backing her up fairly quickly, just as it was all starting to happen past the dog leg at Goodwood. Callum Shepherd stood up in his irons, couldn't get any run whatsoever, and didn't punish her. Whether she would have won, it's always a bit of a grey area. However, straight from good company back into a handicap, I think it's just because there's a big pot on offer. They've decided to roll the dice and back her up quickly. I think she'll take to it really well.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think when there's a royal runner, particularly at Ascot, they do always get backed, just because why not? I suppose, particularly on the day with race goes. I don't mind Bill Archie. She third last time out at Nottingham, and Sam James will ride again. I just think maybe where she came off the all-weather first start on turf last time, and maybe just come on a touch for that. And yeah, Sam James rides most of these Nick Bradley racing horses, doesn't he? He was in the winners' enclosure with one at Chester earlier in the week. That will probably go to the Betfred Derby meeting and race at Epsom, as they have a couple of times when they've won one of those races for the youngsters at Chester. They kick on to Epsom. Ali Shuffle, that's the name of the filly.
That's the one. That's the one. Absolute rocket, wasn't it? Drawn down in one, ping, off and gone. Lovely way to start the meeting, that.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Right, 240 at Ascot, 7 furlongs, Heritage Handicap, the Victoria Cup, Kirat at the top of the market for Race Beckett and Ross O'Ryan. Roy de France, a horse that's been in the places enough times, and as is Gleneagle Bay, to be honest. Where are we looking here? This is a proper one to get you into your form book, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like. There's two in here. I think you can have two against the field, but I'm sort of relying on runners being drawn a little bit low, or that's where both of mine have ended up. I think that EBT's guard is the pace. He's drawn in 8. You've got Mayal, who would be huge for Steph Hollinshead. He's been like the real flag bearer for the team. He's drawn in 19, so he's going to be up towards the stand side rail. But plenty coming with solid chances. I do think that Ed Walker holds a really, really strong hand in here. The likes of English Oak, who was behind Mail last time, he was fat as a fool at Haydock. He's definitely going to take a significant step forward, drawn in 6. And you remember he won the Britannia here when the Wathnan team went in and bought him for fortunes. He duly came up with the goods at the Royal Meeting, dropped down to 6, didn't really work for him. Nice reappearance run. And then the old favourite who goes for Ed Walker, Pop Master. Also a real good winner around this venue as well. Now, Jack Doughty has had a brilliant run throughout the winter, champion apprentice on the synthetic. He'll be gunning for the champion apprentice title again. And he ran well over the mile last time, but he seems to struggle to see out a strongly run mile, even though he was staying on at the death. 7 furlongs up here is perfect, and we should get the race run to suit. I think they were around 14 and 16 to 1. They're two solid players at an each way price, and Ed Walker could be a good payday for him.
Yeah, some nice prices there. I agree. English Oak's got to go in with a good chance, carrying a fair bit of weight, but class might just prevail. I'm interested to see how No Retreat gets on his first start for George Scott after racing predominantly over in Dubai. Sometimes it pays that you can catch one first time out for a new trainer. Other times, potentially, they've got plans on their mind. But this is a big pot, and if No Retreat's ready to go, I'd say could run a big race for George Scott. Right, the last at Ascot. This is the last we'll look at anyway. The 3:15, mile and a half. Another nice handicap. Andrew Balding's got the one at the top of the market. He was 2 from 2. Might be hard to stop, in my opinion, but you could be about to tell me otherwise, Jason. Give the viewers a nice price to go at.
Yeah, well, Torquino, Southall and Newcastle, pretty strong. Hung quite badly left-handed when coming up the straight at Newcastle. So it'll be interesting going round the mile and a half at Ascot right-handed, whether he goes and swings out wide. He wouldn't want to be giving away too much of an advantage up the straight, but he's lightly raced and he's an improver. How often can you buy a full brother to Cracksman for 38,000 guineas? Well, that's what happened with Fireblade, and he hadn't managed to win for John and Thady Gosden. Goes over to Dylan Cunha's team. Quickest ground that he raced on was at Leicester last time. He got the job done. Doyler was on board. We wish him a speedy recovery off the back of that broken collarbone. Buick takes over and he's straightforward. You know, he can be ridden aggressively. He's only been put up £5. There's every reason to think that there's a good bit of untapped potential in there. And you're right. Torquino could easily be ahead of his mark as well. But at the prices, Fireblade has to be a big runner for Dylan Cunha and William Buick. Love the pedigree. Full brother to Cracksman. But of course, as you know, Elvis had a brother and he couldn't sing a tune.
A bargain. A bargain. What did you say? 38,000?
38 grand he was picked up for at the sales. He must have been a bit of a handful because he was gelded before he ever ran. So maybe he's just been a bit of a boyo throughout his career, but they're a good outfit, aren't they? Dylan Cunha, and you're coming from a massive operation into a little, well, he's still a big yard in Newmarket, but just into that smaller pond, being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, I think he prides himself on that as well, doesn't he? Being able to work with slightly cheaper horses, or maybe find horses that are value, maybe not cheap horses, but being able to find one that is he thinks is a good price and turn it into a nice racehorse. So yeah, maybe if he came with a bad rep, a bit of a boy like you said, he said, well, you know, let's give him a chance and take him on and try and pick up some nice pots with him. I'll ask you if there is anything else you want to mention, but you definitely don't have to, because we've gone through plenty of racing from Lingfield and Ascot. I know you mentioned the one ammo horse, didn't you?
Yes, just keep a close eye. And, you know, it's that time of year when you're looking at jockeys, aren't you? You know, where are they going and what's going to happen? So I think that you sort of lean towards certain horses and, jockey bookings as well. I'm always keeping a close eye. Ross Orion, he's absolutely flying at the moment. So anything that he rides is always to be aware of.
Exactly that, worth following. Right, there's one more race just for your notebooks. We couldn't finish up without doing the Swinton up at Haydock in the 135. Great betting race, 7-1 the field. Our champ probably will go off favourite. Give me 5-1 here last time out. Carries 12 stone again. Probably could. I wouldn't put you off backing him. You know, he's a classy horse in a handicap that runs well, carrying a fair bit of weight for Harry Derham. But I like Helm Ween, and I've got to give Joel Ross a shout, who normally is sitting with us through the jump season, because he always gives us a bit of a scoop on the Noel Feely Racing Syndicate horses. And I know they fancied him last time out when he got beat by Glory and Fortune. He went off 4-5 favourite, was well backed on the day. I think he can reverse that form. Glory and Fortune goes in again for Tom Lacey. But for me, Helm Win was unlucky. And I'd say if you backed him last time at 4-5, you'd be silly not to back him again at 9-1 in the 135 at Haydock. That's all from us. Jace, what's your plans this weekend? Where are you going to be? Anything exciting?
Yeah, be busy, be obviously grafting through this. And then, of course, we roll on to York, don't we? And can anybody turn up with a superstar 3-year-old that is going to rattle the cage for those Ballydoyle battalions and, of course, the boys in blue? Everybody wants to win the Betfred Derby. Or have we seen the Derby winner already?
Yes, it's different to last year, isn't it? I think Newmarket was really strong when looking at the Betfred. It's like everything kind of came out. We've seen plenty of what we think, but I say that, I sit here now, and most years something does come out the woodworks, doesn't it? It completely changed the market, but not long until the Betfred Derby. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Jason, thanks very much for your thoughts as always, and we'll look forward to racing on Saturday.